Hi everybody, this is JR2576 with another video. I wanted to touch on a couple things that I've been using a lot on my last two creations, the castle and the deep sea city. And when I talked to a couple other people, they've barely used it or understood it. So I just wanted to show you guys how I've used it. Live cloning and the Kaleidoscope. I know they sound pretty easy, but there's actually a lot of people that don't use it. And when you're building a scene or anything like that, we all know that the more you clone, the less it impacts your thermo. Because I can clone something 100 times and my thermo will barely move. But if I make all different shapes and all different sculpts, then it affects the thermo. So when I do like my scenes, what I do is I like to lay it out how I want it, because I don't actually always know how I'm going to do the detailing. So you can clone it, you know, a bunch of times, and it doesn't affect your thermo. Now, when you clone something, just a regular clone, this will also save you some time. If it's animated, before you clone it, it carries it over to the other clones for one timeline. That way you don't have to make multiple timelines for multiple objects and it eats up your thermo, because now you have multiple timelines that you have to add. But this only works if you want it to be the same. So like I have an animation here where this donut's going to spin. I also have a logic of a signal generator hooked up to the ball. It just changes the ball's color. I'm going to press play and show you. See? But now because of these, this is already hooked up with the logic and this is already animated. If I clone this and I clone this, see, it brings the logic with it, and this one timeline will now animate all these. So to save yourself some time with logic, if you have like a door in your scene and it's the same door that you use, make the door, hook up the logic to it, and then you can clone it and put it wherever you want. You don't have to keep doing the animation or the logic for that door each time. Just make sure it's set up the first time before you actually start cloning it. The other thing I want to talk about is live cloning. That's this tool right here. So it has to have the check on it. That means it's set up for live cloning. So what I'm going to do is live clone this, and I'll live clone this. Now when I go into the shape, see, I build on both. It doesn't change this into a unique shape because these are the same. It does, however, this does become a unique shape because it's no longer like this one that I cloned from originally. So right now I just made a unique shape with this, but all my other clones that I live clone off of this will match this one, and it'll be the same, and it won't affect your thermo. And I can do all the detailing that I want to do on this piece, and it will duplicate it onto this piece. And that goes with everything, the painting, the sculpting. And you don't always have to do live cloning. I just find it a helpful tool if I'm going to duplicate an asset that I made throughout my scene, and then I want to go back and add detail to it. At least this way, all the other assets that match it will also get it. But now, if you remember, I live clone this one onto here. So if I go, see, it does it on here. Let's do it like this. See? But now, if I just regularly clone this, it won't work. It only works on this. See, so that one doesn't get it. So you have to live clone for it to match up. But to keep it different, you can also do set this up and set this up, live clone this, and live clone this separately. So whatever you duplicate, whatever you do on this one will duplicate onto the other live clones, and whatever you do on this one will duplicate on the other live clones. Just a way of keeping your thermo down. And they all get the animation, even though they're different, but they're technically all clones. Right. One other thing I just wanted to touch on. Also, when you do make something live clone, if you go back into live clone and say somewhere down the line you don't want this to be a live clone, if you hover over it, you press triangle, it says it on the screen, triangle, stop live clone. So I just press triangle. So now if I go back in here, it doesn't duplicate onto that no more. In case you change your mind. See? It doesn't add to that anymore. And another thermo saver that I used was the Kaleidoscope. And I'll explain that. So here, you got to set up your first piece in the center, and then you can set up all your other pieces around it, like so. But now, actually, you know what? Let me change that. I did on my deep sea, I did tunnels, like so. So this is actually how I did my tunnels. But then what you could do is if you go and you sculpt onto this, it will duplicate on the other ones as well. So, see? And it matches as long as you keep Kaleidoscope on. Like that. See? They all match. And when you get out, this is actually one sculpt. So that's how you can save your thermo, even though it's similar to live cloning, except it keeps it all together as one sculpt instead of multiple sculpts. And then if you wanted to, you can live clone this. I just wanted to show you guys a couple ways how I was able to do so much and still keep my thermo down. If you're looking to keep stuff that's not symmetrical, it can still help you. If you want to go back and, tweak certain things. But I find it very helpful if you're going to duplicate a lot of stuff, because as long as you clone stuff, it doesn't increase your thermo. Just trying to give you a couple pointers to squeeze out those extra points. Because even on my Deep Sea City, when I hit almost max, I couldn't really sculpt anything. I was able to mess around with the live cloning and still add quite a bit more before I decided to stop. Because even though I'm building onto a live clone, it doesn't make it a unique shape. So therefore I was able to keep adding to it. And it doesn't have to be on it either. So this was a live clone? Yeah. So, let me shut off that. So even though this shape is over here, I can come all the way over here and make something else. See? And it's still part of it, and it's still a live clone. I hope that helped you guys a little bit understand how I did some of the stuff I did and how I was able to keep some of the thermo down. All right. Thanks for watching.